that together we would be a lively center for sound learning, for new discovery, and for the pursuit of wisdom. We ask you to enlighten by your Holy Spirit those who teach and those who learn and those who lead, that rejoicing in the knowledge of your truth, we may worship you and serve you from generation to generation through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you again, Paula. With that said, I will call the meeting to order, and let it be noted that board members are here with the exception of Matt Sampson. He told me he might have to miss tonight's meeting. And that roll call should include Willa Jo Fowler, who is enjoying a birthday today. And who shares it with Carol Gober down at the admin table. So y'all can party after we get finished here tonight. So with that said, I'm going to allow Amber to lead us through the presentations and recognitions, if you would, please.
Good evening. We'd like to begin by introducing Mrs. Kay Kiner, Principal of McKinley, to introduce our Student Pledge Leader.
Good evening, and birthday greetings were coming from McKinley for both of you young ladies. My spotlight student from McKinley is Taylor Hildebrand. His parents are Jeremy and Jennifer Hildebrand. I believe he has some siblings here, and a Nana and a Papa or something close to that. Also, Taylor was one of my initial crew members for the Cardinal News Crew that we started that at McKinley last year. And this is his second year and is doing so well. They have to actually do a job application to be on the crew. So he filled out a job application both years and has been they all learn all the jobs that are involved with the news crew, but he has excelled in all of them. The editor, the cameraman in front of the camera. So I thought he was an excellent one to do lead the flag salute tonight. He has led the chirp. We had the Cardinal chirp every morning. He's on the Superintendent's honor roll. He was in Circle the State with Song and said he's going to try out again this year. Real Men Sing last year, and he is a library aide, which is volunteer, which means they miss out on recess to come in and help do that. His community activities are Y soccer, basketball, and baseball. His hobbies are video games, sports, reading, playing with his siblings, staying at his cousin's house. And he said, what I'm most proud of is getting good grades. And he said, that's really hard sometimes, Mrs. Kiner. He is going to lead you in the flag salute like we do it for the chirp every morning. So he does have something to say first before we start.
And we're going to have the flags here in just a minute.
Okay.
I was going to say, would everybody please rise for the presentation of the colors, and then we'll turn it over to Taylor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don't run off, Taylor.
Good job, Taylor. Let's give him a hand.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Bierschmidt, principal of Enid High School, to introduce our spotlight student at secondary level.
Our student spotlight for this evening from Enid High School is Rebecca Miller. Rebecca currently, come on up, Rebecca, and then I'll talk a little bit about it. She currently ranks second salutatorian in our class. We're going to find out for sure here in about 7 more days. I'm sure she's exempt from testing. No, I'm just joking. She's been in the National Honor Society member since she came to Enid High School. She is an academic all-state nominee, which we've had 2 the last year, 1 the year before. She's vice president of the senior class. She's on our honor roll for sure. She's an AP scholar with honor, meaning she has to score so high on so many APs before you can win the AP scholar. She's on the varsity pom squad. She is a connection crew member, which serves in some of the culture down to some of our lower classmen as they come into our school. She's a competitive dancer with Hype Dance Productions. Been doing that since the 6th grade to the present. Dance teacher at Hype Dance Productions, sophomore year to present. Platinum E Community Service Club, I think, who served the other night at the board meeting last Monday. Future plans, attend college and major in biology. We had quite a discussion the other day. She's really interested, and she can tell you more about it, but she's really interested in, I think, saving the world.
Nice.
From the standpoint of biology today and how it impacts our environment. And so she's got a bright future. I know that we'll read about her in the future, and certainly, Rebecca, I want to congratulate you on being Student Spotlight for Enid High School this month.
Thank you, Mr. Bierschmidt. That was very nice. All right. So I consider myself really lucky to be able to go to a great school like Enid High. We have so many wonderful programs to offer, especially the one that's impacted me probably the most out of all these 4 years is the AP programs in the University Center. So what we have there is it's just this wonderful little building, and it's kind of this microcosm of learning where you get to be around a lot of other students who are just as invested in their education as you are. And I find it extremely rewarding to be a part of especially the National Math and Science Grant Program that we have in the University Center through our AP classes, which allows students like me to be rewarded for passing our AP tests. And students around the nation are awarded for passing their AP tests with college credit from College Board, as well as awards like the AP Scholar with Honor. But at Enid High especially, we get to have this grant that will help prepare us for these tests. And if we do everything we're supposed to throughout the year, and we pass the classes, and we go to these study sessions, we have the opportunity to earn $100 for each math, science, or English test that we pass. And last year, I think I took 2 of those types of classes, and I earned both of those credits and both of those grants / scholarships, and that was wonderful. And that will help many of us with our future in college, especially affording books and going on. Just even a little bit of money helps, because it's a lot, especially now that I'm applying to schools and I can see how much it does cost. Outside of the University Center and the AP programs that we have, as Mr. Bierschmidt said, one of the programs that's really close to my heart is Connection Crew. And you have to be an upperclassman, junior or senior, to participate. And what this opportunity really affords all the students who get to participate is that you get to make an impact on the freshmen and sophomores that are going to be taking the school over from you when you leave. You get to teach them about the pitfalls of high school, and you get to talk to them and tell them, even if this happens or that happens, or you're having a really bad day, it's all gonna work out. And you just need these steps to get there. And I really like the fact that I get to go into classrooms on Fridays with the rest of my Connection crew members and talk to all these kids and that are more, well, not kids, my peers, and just really connect with them and tell them that even if they just need a friend that day to get through all of their high school, especially with finals, that they can come up to me or to any of other ones of my Connection crew members. What I also appreciate, I think out of all of this, is that we are a really inclusive community at Enid High School. Anyone can participate in these programs, and if you work hard and you do well, you will succeed at this school. Even though the University Center is a separate building connected by the East Wing, it doesn't always feel so separate because kids from all different areas of the educational system can come in and experience that if they choose to. And that's really a wonderful thing. So I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to let me come and speak to you today about such a wonderful experience I've had. I'm really appreciative of Enid High School and what it has given me and many of my other peers. And I hope that we can continue with some of the programs that we have right now because they really do make a difference in our lives. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Rebecca has been a role model and a mentor for my daughter. She definitely makes a huge impact when she's working with younger students. Appreciate everything that she does. Next, we would like to recognize the Enid High School volleyball team for earning Distinguished Academic Award during their season this year. As we know, we are always thrilled and excited when our students perform so well on their court of play, but it's equally exciting to see them achieve also in the classroom and to make that a priority. So tonight I'd like to introduce their coach, Liz Shermack, to come tell you a little bit about their season and to introduce her players who are not only outstanding volleyball players, but also great scholars as well.
Hi, guys. Yeah, we had a great season. This is my first season as the head coach here, but I've been with these girls. I've watched them grow up, starting at 8th grade. They are not only smart girls, but we had a wonderful season. We went 23-11 this year, and we were second in conference, and we always made it to the gold bracket at any tournament we went to. These girls fought hard and not only were great leaders, but leaders also in the classroom, on and off the court. I'm just going to go on and start recognizing the girls. I can go on and on about these girls because I couldn't have had the season I had without them and their parents and all the support. So first girl I'm going to bring up is Meg Bloom. She's a junior. And then her twin sister, they may not look like twins, but Molly Bloom, Sarah Johnson, Gabby Perez, Taylor Smith, Sydney Davenport, Kylie Vestal. Grace Dillingham is not able to be with us tonight, but she's one of the sophomores. Heather Wilkinson and Casey Platt. And then this was the varsity group for this year, so.
Well, as Ernie is passing those certificates out, I will say to all of you ladies, we were thrilled with the performance on the court this year. great year, but even more thrilled about what you're receiving this award for tonight, and that is academics. So I would encourage you to continue to strive for excellence in the classroom from this point forward as well. And congratulations on a great year, both on and off the court. Let's give them a big hand, please. Group picture.
Those young girls don't want a bald head in there. They're taller than I am.
Good job, ladies.
I actually managed to miscommunicate with Coach and with the team, and they still hustled over here with very little notice today, and I appreciate that so much so that we could honor you. I appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you for being here, ladies.
As our final recognition tonight, we have a very special recognition to make. It's very different than those that we're able to make very often. It really is to honor two heroes for the work they do with children and for going above and beyond with their team. And there's not anything I could share with you that would be more eloquent than what the family impacted shared with me. So for just a couple of minutes, I'd like to read for you what we were given by Doug and Julie Smith about their experience with Coach Hildebrand and Coach Edmondson from the Enid High School basketball team. My son Dylan Smith is on the EHS basketball team. In September of this year, he began having some breathing difficulties during practice. The symptoms included shortness of breath, clammy cold skin, and excessive sweating. Nothing too alarming since he has a history of asthma, and these are all symptoms of that as well. Coach Hildebrand and Coach Edmondson would notice Dylan getting winded and tell him to sit out of practice until he felt better. This continued for a couple of days, and Coach Edmondson called my husband about his concerns. We told him that we would like to make sure he was taking his asthma medicine, and if it continued, we would get him an appointment with our doctor. His symptoms continued on and off for several weeks. After several discussions with the coaches, we made an appointment with our doctor. After a full physical, including an EKG, we were told Dylan needed a cardiologist. After many tests and procedures, Dylan was diagnosed with a condition called hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, also referred to as athletic heart. It is a condition in which the heart muscle is abnormally thick. This can result in restricted blood flow in and out of the heart, ultimately causing death. There is no cure, but if found, it can be managed. It was explained to us that this is the same condition we hear about where many young athletes are dying during a basketball or football game. It can happen with no warning and sometimes no symptoms. The doctor told us that Dylan's coaches saved his life. He said that all coaches are trained to know these symptoms, but sadly, many will ignore the symptoms. Many will scream and yell and tell the kids if you can't handle the workout, you don't need to be on the team. Most kids like Dylan who love the game will continue to push and push through a workout so that they will not be benched or kicked off the team. Unfortunately, these kids never get a chance to tell their story. We just hear the devastating news reports. Another doctor that they met told them, "I want to meet these coaches and personally hug and thank them. They saved Dylan's life. We need more coaches like this." We have been told over and over how lucky we are that this was found. I can't express how grateful we are to Coach Hildebrand and Coach Edmondson. They are our heroes. We would like to recognize tonight
I've got a couple of special coins to present to these two coaches, and these coins are actually the brainchild of Randy Rader, our assistant soup for elementary. This is the second year for this, and so we have a different coin each year, and the military's been doing this for a long time. This coin this year on one side says, has our logo, excellence, pride, success, Enid Public Schools, and on the other side, rigor, relevance, and relationships. And these two guys are prime examples of the third R in that category, relationships, because if they didn't have the right relationship coach to player, they wouldn't have been paying enough attention to actually make sure that this particular student athlete was as safe as possible. And I know their parents are appreciative, and we're appreciative for you two guys. And Colonel Lashinsky knows this, but everybody else may not know that the proper way to present the coin is to put it in your hand, that you're going to shake hands with somebody and present it to them that way. So I'd like to do that with these two coaches. Coach, congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing that. You guys like to say a word?
First of all, thank you, Dr. Floyd, for this honor, and thank you, Ernie, Board President, for this. Me and Coach Edmondson appreciate this, but this isn't really about us. This is about Dylan, and this is actually about Coach Edmondson too. You know, I had to make a call to decide whether he's going to practice or not. But you know, Coach Edmondson did a lot of that research through his respiratory training that he had and talked to some of his old teachers that he'd had. And, you know, he actually he's from Hennessy, and Dylan's dad's from Hennessy, so they had a little connection, and they talked. And, you know, so, you know, it's really about them and about Dylan. And, you know, looking back on it, you see Dylan when I got the job in late June, and he's out there playing, and we're trying to decide who we want to take to camp, and we're sitting in there, and I was like, well, what do you think about that lefty that can shoot, that blonde-headed kid? And he's like, oh, yeah, I like him too. Let's take him with us. So, you know, we took him to camp with us, and we got to know Dylan, and we started the year, and that took place, and he didn't look right, and he looked like pale, and you know, you don't really think about it until you hear those words that his mother speaks, how important that really was probably at the time. And I'm glad we made that decision. I don't know if I would have, what I would have done if we wouldn't have made that decision, something bad would have happened. So I want to thank Coach Edmondson, and I want to thank Dylan for being honest about the way he felt that day. And if you think about it, if I was him and I'm junior in high school and you're going to take away the thing that I love the most, which is athletics, I would be completely devastated. You go crawl in a hole and hide, or you could, you know, be upset about it, and that's not what he's done at all. He's actually, you know, stepped up to the plate for the team, and he's like, I told him, I said, hey, you're going to be manager coach. You're going to be coach like us. He sits on the bench with us. He comes to every single practice unless he has an appointment. That shows a lot about his character, and he means a lot to our team, and he will continue to mean a lot to our team. And as long as I'm coach, you always have a spot on the bench right down there with us. So I'm looking forward to seeing the things that Dylan's going to do in his future, and I'm looking to seeing the kind of man he's going to be. I know he's going to be a good one. And Dylan, I'm sorry you can't play, but I love you, and we're going to keep on pressing on. All right. That's it.
Good job, folks.
Let me, coaches, if you don't mind, let me just say a quick word. I tell you what, it means a lot to me. I know the Smith family very well, and I care for them deeply. And when Julie told me the story, I couldn't listen to Amber read it without my eyes getting watery. I'll be honest with you. And you know, I know that all of our coaches think they would make that decision, but you guys did, and that's exactly why we wanted to honor you tonight, and I thank you so much for doing the right thing. Thank you both.
Amber, you want to
Appreciate
get a picture with the two coaches and Dylan? Yeah.
And Smith family, thank you for being here, and thank you for participating in this. So, shall we go on?
Yeah.
With that said, let's go on down the agenda while the picture taking is going on back there. There is no audience to visitors tonight. No one signed up to speak. So the next item on the agenda is our superintendent's report. Dr. Floyd.
All right, thank you very much. And kind of on the same theme there of student success and that type of thing, we had a really good weekend this weekend. Our middle school PALM group, and you may see these groups be recognized later on, but since it just happened this weekend, I thought I would go ahead and share some of this stuff with you. The middle school PALM team won the state championship over the weekend. The high school PALM group was designated the academic state champions, much like the volleyball team we recognized here tonight. And then our girls varsity basketball team won their tournament on a last-second buzzer beater shot, and the boys won the consolation bracket of their tournament as well. So a lot of good things going on this weekend, and we're very, very proud of the kids. Also on the same topic, similar type topic as Dylan's heart issue, I'm happy to announce that we now are in the process of getting installed AEDs for each site that we have. Those are automated external defibrillators, so that if somebody were, like the superintendent, to go down clutching his heart, which could happen at any given time, they could pull that off the wall and zap me back into reality. So that is a good safety tool to have, and we're very pleased that every site will have one of those. Well, yeah, that could come later, but got to get the heart going first. So that could save somebody's life sometime. We're happy to have that in place throughout the district. Board members, you may have seen an email from Christy Watson at OSSBA recently, or maybe it just came to the superintendents about everybody else, but basically they're just trying to make sure they're not missing anybody on the OSSBA email list. So I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of go around the table here and make sure you guys are receiving yours. You've been receiving yours for a long time. Everybody's on the list, getting theirs? Okay, good. I don't know, do they send you, do they do the advance representative usually or not? Does anybody know? I don't know. You're special. Yeah. If you're interested in getting the School Board Association emails, we can add you. Yeah, you probably need a few more emails. Yeah. Okay, onward we go. I've sent you a few emails about Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, now takes the place of No Child Left Behind. That has passed both houses, the House and the Senate, and the President has now signed that. So we should be seeing some positive changes, I think, not the least of which is it now takes control or lessens control of the feds and gives control back to the states theoretically. So I hope that that is the case, and we'll see moving forward. A lot of hashing out of that lengthy bill will still yet to be taking place, and as soon as we get more information, we'll let you know. But board members, you do have a handout at your place. It says ESSA summary. Viv Bunch, our Director of Federal Programs, was sent this by somebody at the state that she works with. They got it from the federal government, and so we're not going to go through all this tonight, but it'd be good bedtime reading for you. It's several pages of what is new, what is in the new ESSA bill. So hopefully that is a positive for the nation. Next item you have at your place, board members, is a copy of an email from Serena Watson, basically stating that several education organizations have banded together and filed legal briefs in support of Boren's penny sales tax proposal. COSA, OSSBA, and OEA, all three joined forces to file legal briefs in support of that, and if that can wade its way through the legal battles, the earliest that would be on the ballot for people across the state would be in November of 16, so roughly a year from now. And that penny sales tax would provide for a $5,000 teacher raise for every Oklahoma teacher, among some other things. But personally, I see that as one of the only ways that we're going to be able to provide significant salary increases for teachers, and I personally am in support of it as well. Got an email from the Chamber today about the this year's upcoming Washington, D.C. trip that the Chamber of Commerce helps organize. Last year, Ernie and I went on that trip. Are you planning on going again this year? And I think I will too. It's April 11th through the 14th, so we'll be headed up there for that. I really enjoyed it. Got a chance to go to the Pentagon, got a chance to visit with our congressman and talk some education issues, and so appreciate the invitation, and I think it was very positive for our district for me to go and try to do that again this year. Tomorrow morning, I will be interviewed by Steve Keim on Enid TV and be talking about the upcoming bond election. And then I've probably done 10 or 11 bond presentations already and got about 35 more planned between now and February the 9th. So we are on the speaking circuit. If you have a group that you would like us to come and talk to, just let me know and we'll try to fit them in our schedules. I sent you an email today, board members, from the high school about their exemption. I guess I assumed that this had been in place for a long time, but Mr. Stafford informed me that they used to have it and then it went away and now has been reinstituted. So that's a good incentive, I think, for high school kids to actually give them incentive to come to school every day such that they have a possibility of being exempt in some tests, and that's a good thing. And then they'll finish up Friday around 1:45 or so with their annual talent show. That'll be a lot of fun as well. I want to inform you, board members, about a couple of three other things. I got an email from Wayne McMillan, I guess this was last Monday, informing me that each year the state regents, the higher ed state regents, have a business/economic partnership ceremony in Oklahoma City, and each college institution gets to recognize one partnership at that luncheon. This year, Northwestern plans to recognize the Enid Public School system for their early childhood partnership with their campus, and that ceremony will be held on March the 8th at the UCO campus, and so I'll plan on attending that, and very worthy recognition in my opinion. That's a great program. Speaking of which, I got a phone call and an email Friday from a guy named Ron Feemster, who is a professor of journalism at Emporia State University, Emporia, and he also does some freelance writing and for a journal called the 74 Million. I had not heard of it, but the 74 Million is named, the journal is named that because that is approximately the number of public school students we have in the United States. Didn't know that, but learn something every day. But the journal, he is interested in coming down to visit our intergenerational early childhood program at the Commons, and so and do a feature story on that program. It won't be a policy story; it'll be a feature story. So we got that arranged. He's coming to visit the Commons Friday morning at 8:30, and so Randy and Chris and I will be over there to visit with them. If any of you guys would like to join us over there, you're certainly welcome. The last handout you have at your place, board members, is a document I got from a meeting I was at recently with Brent Kissling, and these are just some of the current construction projects in Enid, and you can see we've got a number of them, and so all of that is positive for our community. I won't spend time going through all that document, but you can just kind of scan that document and see that there's a bunch of good things going on in our community, and all that's good for our fair burg. Let's see here. Congratulations are due our board president and our newest board member, Ernie and Amanda. The filing period closed without opposition, so it will not be necessary to have an election, and we will reauthorize them and reinstitute them into their reappointed places at our February regular board meeting. So congratulations to them. We appreciate you guys willing to serve, and glad to have you for another term. Yay! Wanted to say a brief word and then have Doug say a quick word also. I think we sent you some information on the fact that we are working on, through our committee process of the strategic plan, through our assessment and accountability committee, working on grading and assessment policies and procedures. And so Leslie Wickert and Lynn Peters chair that committee, and we'll be working on a number of things from this point forward, and we might invite one or two board members to sit on that committee as well. Doug, I'll turn it over to you and let you say a word about that process.
You bet. We've sent out an email to the teachers. Enid Public Schools, we're looking for a good cross-section of teachers K-12, and so we have put that invite out there, and we've already had some teachers respond saying they'd like to be a part of that committee, and so as we study that and look at it in relation to our district vision, we'll bring recommendations to the board based off of those recommendations. So looking forward to the conversation and work on that.
Do you already have the one or two board members that have volunteered, or we need to get them?
I have not. So if any of you are interested, let me know.
Yeah, I would serve on that.
Great.
Okay.
Very good.
Would you like another one, or one?
Two would be
suffice?
great.
Do we have
Whatever
anybody
we can
else
get.
that has a burning desire to sit through a bunch of committee meetings and help with grading and policies and procedures?
I would like to rethink my
Oh, I left that part out, didn't I? Multiple hours and hours of meetings.
Any of you are welcomed.
You want to serve? Okay. All right, so Karl and Willa Joe. So thank you all for serving, and you'll pass their names on to Leslie and them and make sure they get all the emails and invitations. We'd appreciate it. That concludes my report, sir.
You're not going to talk about that?
Yeah, I mentioned it. Or did you sleep through
Did I
that?
sleep through that?
Yeah.
It was going so fast.
Wow.
Ernie, are you disappointed?
Must have been when I was checking my Facebook.
We
Now,
can do
these
some
folks-
5-10 minute
These
filler.
folks can verify that I did mention that in my...
Talk about all of it.
No, I just said that you have a handout there, and I got that handout in one of the meetings I was in with Brent Kissling recently.
I must slip through that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Now, I'm supposed to remind everybody to turn their mic on because I don't want to get chastised by our Enid TV folks.
Okay. I was just wondering, I didn't know if you'd say anything about it in your report or not, but have there been some problems with the parking lot over here? It just seems like it's really taking a long time.
It is going slow, and I'll turn it over to Karl and ask him to share with you about the fact that we had to have a come to Jesus meeting and put a little fire under that group.
There were some delays. I think a lot of it had to do with one of the larger rains that we received. However, there were also some underground things that had to be taken care of. Several major cabling lines went underneath that parking lot, and that all had to be moved carefully so that we didn't interrupt any of our data services. So they seem to be back on track. They've done some forming and actually poured some concrete, and you may have noticed that all of the pillars are in place for the light poles, and there's one large section of pavement that's been poured on the west side, and they formed up for two more segments today. So
Yeah, and we knew all along that that was not going to be a quick project. What's the timing on that? It was originally going to be January anyway, wasn't it?
February 1 was the original target date. I would bet that we'll be looking at March 1. And they're making hay while the weather's good. It's supposed to turn bad about middle of January, and with any luck, we'll get a lot more of the concrete poured. This does include several other things. They've started some work on the signage that will be permanently affixed to all the buildings in the central complex. And then it'll also include a canopy that'll connect the buildings out here on the north side of this facility, and then a large masonry enclosed marquee that will sit out on Garriott. So it's a fairly comprehensive project. It's more than just paving.
Okay, thank you.
Now, you mentioned that the weather's going to get bad mid-January. Did you read that in the almanac, or? I thought
And if
maybe.
Karl said it, we can write it down. Yeah, yeah. All right, anybody else have
Any questions for
of
the
me?
superintendent? Yeah. None? Okay, well, let's go on to the next item for regular business under 4A, discuss the Enid Public School joining the other school districts on this lawsuit. So-
Yes, I can take that one. We've talked about this many times in closed session under the legal exception, litigation exception, and even last month talked about that. But recently, Karl went with me to a superintendent meeting out at Autry, and Karl shared some specific information with those other districts about how they're affected, and we feel like, or in hopes, that many more districts will join the battle in working with the small group that has been involved from the inception, Ponca City and us, and Western Heights, Oklahoma City, and Middale. We hope to expand that group significantly. We would love for everybody that is a disfavored district like us to join. But as we talked about last month, we appreciate the board considering taking official action to allow us to join that fight, and per our discussion last month. And so we felt like we needed to have it on agenda for official action tonight, so our recommendation would be for the board to officially approve this tonight.
You heard that recommendation? You heard that recommendation, board members. Is there a motion?
I move we approve.
Thank you,
Second.
Torry. Thank you, Colin. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, that passes. That brings us to the consent items, and I believe that we can approve anything under paragraph B. Would that be correct, Karl?
That is correct.
Okay, so unless someone wants to pull something and talk about it specifically, I would entertain a motion to approve all the consent items.
Move we approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All consent items are approved. Takes us to paragraph C, talking about our encumbrances. Karl, will you just lead us through those, please?
Certainly. Purchase orders 1684 through 1720 for $33,222.85. Recommend approval.
Move we approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Go ahead.
I just noticed Global Spectrum in ninth grade basketball games. I should have asked this without blindsiding you, but it was $4,250. Okay.
Global Spectrum is the organization that runs the event center. That was some extra games that were not included in our regular contract.
So we're going to have some ninth grade games there?
Yes.
Is it- Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Do you know how many it is?
I'm sorry, I would guess, based on the per game cost, probably 3 at the most.
Further discussion?
One thing, number, 1695, the desk and the hutch. I was just wondering why it was taken out of the general fund instead of maybe a bond fund if
Just a
it was
moment.
available.
Let me check here. That was 1695, you
The
said?
desk and the hutch.
Those were purchased at the discretion of the high school with the principal's allocation account. So it was something that he decided he needed. Usually he asks me and we buy it out of the building fund, but this was apparently something that they decided
Okay.
they weren't going to ask me about.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 2.
The general fund change orders since the 11th of November. Purchase orders 1 through 1683 in the total amount of $314,767.50. Recommend
Move we
approval.
approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? C3.
Building fund encumbrances, purchase orders 46 through 49 for a total of $17,118.03. Recommend approval.
Move we approve.
Second.
Any further discussion on that one? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next. Karl.
Municipal tax levy encumbrances, purchase order number 9 for $2,378.52. Recommend approval.
Move we approve.
Second.
Any further discussion on this one? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5.
And finally, the activity fund for donations and gifts, purchase orders 19 through 44 for a total of $14,546.30. These are virtually all purchase orders for grants to teachers from the Enid Public School Foundation.
Move we approve.
Second.
Any discussion on number 5? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us to the financial report. Mr. White?
Get over here close to the microphone so it doesn't echo when they turn it up to try to cover me. Very quickly, the one-line summary that's part of the attachments with your electronic agenda shows that we collected close to between 1/3 and 1/2 of our collections estimated on the estimate of needs for the general fund. The cash balance, I'd like to point out, and this is underscoring the need for an adequate fund balance each year. The cash balance went down from last month to this month by $769,000, and it's down from the beginning of the year by $1,572,000. That's because during the fall months of every year, we overspend what we actually take in. That's just one of many reasons to maintain an adequate fund balance. So needed to draw that to your attention. As you all are aware, the financial picture for the current year and for next year, fiscal year 2017, is not good. So we definitely need to maintain an adequate fund balance. The rest of the report is pretty straightforward. We're just about where we expect it to be at this time of the year. I am concerned that we'll finish this fiscal year and get 100% of all the state aid that is currently appropriated. The state treasurer every month has indicated to us that revenues are down, and I think there's a distinct possibility we may not fully collect on what has been appropriated in that area. So again, that underscores the need for us to maintain a fiscal control and to maintain an adequate fund balance in the general fund, especially from year to year. That, of course, is our operating fund. Entertain any questions if there are any.
First, is there a motion to approve?
Move we approve.
Second.
Thank you. Now, is there any discussion on the financial report? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Talk to us about the search agreement.
The search agreement we approved back in August on the 24th. This is a 5-agency agreement, and one of those agencies decided after reviewing it with their attorneys that they wanted some changes in the language, and so they have electronically sent back request to change the language, and coincidentally, part of that change is to be able to electronically sign off on those changes. We've reviewed it and believe that it all falls within the law and is not going to negatively affect us at all, so we are recommending approval of these changes. And if so, then Mr. McCune will send them an email indicating that they can electronically sign our copies of it. So recommend approval of these changes.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move we approve.
Second. Any other discussion on that one? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Karl, on paragraph F, can we approve all of those at once if you roll through all of them, or do we need to approve each?
Technically, we need to take number 4, FNCFD, the Student Drug Testing Program, off the table.
Oh, take it off the table? Okay.
Yeah, or put it back on. It's been tabled. We need to reactivate it so we can act.
Well, let's
on
just
it.
go through them individually.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
You got your mic on there?
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
The policy CFB is a change requested to take into account the fact that we have a number of possibilities for raising funds electronically that didn't exist a few years ago. That's the first major change on this activity fund policy. Then the second suggested change is doing away with the petty cash account, which we have done away with a number of years ago, and just changing our policy to follow our procedure and replacing it with the procedure we've used for a number of years when coaches travel out of town, giving them a cash advance that they account for and bring back either the remainder of cash or receipts to show how that money was spent. So we do recommend approval of these two changes in our activity fund policy. Both of those changes, by the way, the wording was modeled after model policies that we obtained from the Oklahoma State School Board Association, as are all of the remainder of the changes in other policies. Then DNAA is evaluating administrative personnel, and we're suggesting 2 additional changes to those. By the way, all the changes are denoted in red, either underlined for additional language or stricken through for language that's being removed. And there's just a couple of places that we are suggesting some changes there. Those are made more general so that if the State Department changes, as it has abandoned the McCrell system, for a requirement for administrative evaluation, we will simply follow what the State Department mandates. So we're recommending those 2 changes to the evaluation of administrative personnel policy DNAA. Then policy EKBA is our reading sufficiency plan. Our plan had not been revised since 2005. There have been a number of changes in reading sufficiency requirements. So basically what we're doing here is replacing our entire old policy with the new OSSBA recommended policy. And then, if you'll recall, the board asked for a couple of additional changes on FNCFD, and those are denoted again in red. The remainder of the changes that you all agreed with at our last meeting have not been shown as tracked changes on this. So we went ahead and accepted those and only showed the 2 minor changes that you suggested at the end of the discussion last time. So I don't know if Doug wants to comment on that, but it's fairly minor changes that the board had discussed. So
I'll just briefly let you know that we did change the language in that last part. We took out the 88 school days, which was reflective of a semester. And then we added to the exhibit, which is the form that the parent and guardian and student sign. We did add in there that refusal to participate in a mandatory random drug test would result in the student's ineligibility to participate for 1 calendar year. So in the form that the parent and student sign, it's addressed there rather than putting it inside of the policy.
Yeah.
recommend approval of all 4.
Okay. we have a recommendation to approve all 4 of these policies, but we can certainly entertain questions on any. Is there a motion to approve?
Move we approve.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second now. Any questions on any of them?
I have some questions on the drug testing implementation dates.
On the implementation dates, what we'll do next is we will get current bids from all of the vendors who offer hair follicle testing, making sure that we include in that contract a request for training for our nurses and school personnel who will be helping with that. Followed by that, we'll get the coaches involved in communication regarding the policy, making sure that we've answered all questions, making sure everybody understands what the expectations are, with the hopes that in fall of 2016, we're ready to move forward with full implementation of the drug policy.
Further comments or questions?
I have a question on F1 CFB, the activity funds. What is the plan for monitoring the electronic fundraising, if that is done? I'm concerned primarily for people who set up some saying that they're supporting our school, but how does that?
It's going to be a continual re-education program every year to make our teachers aware that they have to get permission ahead of time. That's state law. And in the case of the Donors Choose, in which they are requesting people donate to this organization, which is a 501c3, and then that organization turns around if enough money is received to purchase the items and donates those items to us. They have to clear that with their building principal first, and the principal will work with our IT department to make sure that any devices that are requested will interface with our networks and be supportable by our IT department. So we're rapidly developing the forms to do that. It's going to be a re-education program every year to remind people that you just don't go out and do this.
What about monitoring if there's external individuals that are not truly connected with our school that try to set up?
As soon as we become aware of them, we'll try to get to the bottom of it. It obviously is going to add a level of work that we haven't done in our office before, but we're going to be forced to do this because the law simply states that the board has to approve all fundraising prior to it taking place. And unfortunately, there have been a few of these take place without any of our knowledge of it, and we're trying to get the word out.
Yeah, and Amanda called me today with a couple questions like that, and as I told her, for the most part, people involved in these type of activities are doing it with the right purpose in mind. There are always going to be some people that try to get something for nothing that are not even associated with the school district, and I think that may be what you're talking about. But Karl alluded to one of the reasons that we need to make sure that everybody's on the same page and has an understanding of what the fundraiser is going to be prior to, not the least of which is technology and IT issues. We don't want somebody to spend a lot of time, effort, energy, and money gathering and then for some device that then would not be compatible with what we already have. So these are all relatively new entities and systems, and we're just trying to come in compliance with that and then get the communication out effectively to everybody as to what and why we have to go through the administration for approval prior to instead of after the fact.
Further questions or comments?
And I had a question, this may be for Randy a little bit, but on the reading sufficiency plan, that was mandated from the Reading Sufficiency Act? Is that?
Yes, and we have to have a policy on it. And basically what this does is just bring our policy up to date with
Okay.
exactly what legislation, thank you. Legislation asks us to do. I don't know why that gave me such a problem.
Now, and then we just received an email from the state school superintendent. Was that what ranked us nationally as a state? Was our Reading Sufficiency Act, or Did I not see something on that? I was just trying to connect the dots.
Do you remember what that was?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, and maybe
seeing
I'm
that.
wrong.
I'm not sure
As
which
I was
one
just
you're referring
reading,
to.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
As a state, we were recently recognized for having one of the better early childhood programs in the nation.
Okay, that had nothing to do with our reading.
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay.
Because Reading Sufficiency Act really is third grade, and another question that Amanda had was about the committee work, and we had that in place for last year. This just relegates that into writing in regard to policy, right? So the
Yes,
committee
there was
work.
there was a change. The principal was supposed to be on every committee, and one of the changes that they made legislatively last year was to take the principal off of that. They will review the work of the committees, but they don't have to sit in on every meeting. So there were just a few changes to the actual makeup of the committee.
Because they're also sitting on all IEP meetings currently, right?
Right, yes, them or a representative. Sometimes it's a counselor, but usually it is the principal.
I also had one more question. It says that this was all supposed to be in place in 2008, like the original language and all that, but I feel like this is newer than that, like 2012 or 2013 when this all really was implemented.
No, the RSA has been around for a while. They've just continually made changes to it. We've been doing, originally it was called Literacy Success Plans, and so they've just continually updated it, and now it's called the Reading Sufficiency Act, but it's been around for a little while. I don't know the exact date, but it's been around for several years.
And then my last question, Randy, it just says every student enrolled in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade shall be assessed. I mean, I thought it was more of a third grade.
It's actually not. The Reading Sufficiency Act is actually a K through 3 act, but it specifically
but in order
has
to get promoted from third grade,
Right.
they
That's the
have
key
to.
here, isn't it? Okay.
Right.
We get lots of questions, so I'm just trying to get a
Yep.
better
No,
understanding.
they are good questions, and we have a guide on that as well that teachers have in their classrooms that they can follow. And but basically, it deals with parent notification and the testing and everything in the younger grades and how they can move forward. So it also addresses, there is a possibility of retention prior to third grade, which will count if that child's been retained once or twice. So there's several things that play into that prior to third grade.
One thing I think that hopefully will be really great is that, you know, a lot of pressure is put onto third graders and third grade teachers, but the way this is worded, it's really share the responsibility and try to stop the problems in early on so that it's not such a huge problem in third grade, which I think will hopefully be a good thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Further discussion? All good questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us to item G. Transfer.
Mrs. Larry McClure, Dolores McClure, provided a gift a number of years ago to fund an art scholarship each year. That was never formalized into a true trust agreement. She basically directed it during her lifetime. She has unfortunately passed away. And through discussions with her daughter, Mrs. Kelly Callant, and attorneys for the district, as well as her estate attorney, we would like to transfer the remainder of the gift that we received to the Cherokee Strip Community Foundation to be combined with other monies from Mrs. Callant and potentially from the Enid Arts Council to fund a permanent endowment that would provide that scholarship funds. They have much more latitude for investment than does the district, and the money should go a lot farther if it is given to the foundation. So,
And the family's good with that, right?
yes, they're very much in favor of it. So
Is there a
recommend
motion to
approval of authorizing us to make that transfer.
Yeah, is there a motion to approve?
Move we approve.
Okay, motion to second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us to new business. I don't think we have any tonight. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Now it's time for comments. We'll start with JJ on the end. Any comments from our Vance liaison?
Well, just one. I know we don't want this meeting to go too long tonight. So just one thing. I know, Ernie, you're familiar with it, but Vance Air Force Base is getting ready to jump into an initiative that we call P4. It's public-private, public-public partnerships. And what it is it basically, it's a process that it takes a year or so where Vance Air Force Base entities, as well as folks off base within the community, look at opportunities to save, whether that's money, time, energy, on or off the installation of Vance Air Force Base. And these meetings kick off this week. I know, Ernie, you're very familiar with it. But there may be some opportunities that get identified for some efficiencies with the school district. Maybe not. Only time will tell, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. We'll see what comes out of this, but this kicks off this week, and Ernie will be a part of this, so he'll be able to bring those things to the board and into EPS as appropriate. But that's all I've got. Other than that, on behalf of Colonel Quinn and everybody at Vance Air Force Base, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and all that. So.
Thank you very much, and I cannot let us move on without sharing with everyone the squirrel story. I shared with the board via email today that Eisenhower Elementary was completely without electricity for a couple hours. They did get it back on which was good because they have a meeting out there tonight. But apparently the entire base was without electricity, correct?
It was. But it wasn't our fault.
Oh, sure. Okay. All right. We'll go with that for now. But come to find out, it was a varmint that got into some place and got fried and took the entire electricity out for the entire base, including Eisenhower Elementary. So OG&E's working on it. So we know Eisenhower's up and running, but as of when we started the meeting here tonight, the base was not fully up and running, but working towards it, right?
That's right. And just for the record, being an engineer, I'm sure your facilities guys know this trick too. Whenever there's this inexplicable outage, whether it's electricity, water, whatever, we always keep a squirrel in the freezer just so we can close that loop and explain to everybody that could have been the case.
Just drag it out when necessary.
Right. OG&E folks, as soon as we asked what caused this, they went to their truck and pulled a squirrel out. So
okay, we'll just assume that that's what it was then. Okay.
Well, Colonel Lashinsky, I know that under your command you have a young man by the name of Aaron Betts that's supposed to take care of all the varmints on the base to keep them out of airplane engines and highlines. So you need to call him on the carpet and tell him he's not doing his job very well.
I was looking for a name. Thank you, Ernie. I'll pass on that. We got it from you.
Duly noted.
Tell him I shared that with you. Anyone on the board have comments? Hearing none, that'll move us on along to our next regular meeting is Monday, January 18th. As far as I know, that will be my last as to preside over. And so I'm looking for that meeting to come. And then after that, well, first of all, let me finish that. January 18th at 6 p.m. right here. And then the next item is I'm sure we're going into executive session tonight. So with that said, is there a motion to go into executive session?
Move.
I don't think we have to have all those words till we come back. Yeah. So we have a motion and a second. I heard two voices down there. Okay. Did you get that, Carol? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, we will convene in the back for birthday cake.
Oh, yeah.
You all think we'll go back there and work.
I think that's covered under our legal ability to go into
Legal reasons, we can go into executive session, it's for birthday cake?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Varmints.
I get confused on when we need all the words too.
No, I wasn't planning on it unless you all think you need me. I don't even know what to say. Okay. And I can stick around if it's.